Hello, everyone! Today we are starting the very first chapter of your Class 10 history textbook, The Rise of Nationalism in Europe. Now, have you ever really thought about why our world is divided into countries like India, France, or Germany? We see these borders on a map and we just accept them, but actually, this idea of a country or a nation is not that old. In this session, we're going to travel back in time to understand how this powerful idea was born.
So let's start with a little puzzle. Today, you can easily point to Germany or Italy on a map. But if we go back in time, say to the mid-18th century, those countries, well, they simply did not exist. So what was there instead? What did Europe look like before this idea of nations came about?
Well, it looked something like this. Imagine a jumbled up map, a patchwork of different kingdoms, small territories, and huge empires. It wasn't neat at all. For example, there was the massive Habsburg Empire that ruled over areas that are today Austria and Hungary. But the people living there weren't all the same. Some spoke German, some spoke Italian, others Polish or Magyar, a total mix of different languages and cultures under one single ruler.
And this is the most important point to understand. People back then did not think of themselves as German or Italian. Their identity was not tied to a nation. It was tied to their local community, or more importantly, to their king or their emperor. The only thing that connected all these different people was their loyalty, their allegiance to one ruler. The idea of belonging to a shared national family, it just wasn't there.
But this old world of kings and empires was about to change, dramatically. And the first sign of this change didn't come from a big battle or a political decision. No, it came from the imagination of an artist, a powerful dream about a totally new kind of world.
So in the year 1848, a French artist named Frédéric Soriot created a series of 4 prints, and in them, he visualized his dream of a world made up of what he called democratic and social republics. This picture you see is the first one, and it is full of hidden meanings and symbols. So let's look at it closely, part by part, to understand the new ideas that were spreading across Europe. First, I want you to look carefully at the ground, in the front of the picture. Do you see all those broken pieces of crowns and thrones lying there? This is not just random rubbish. It's a very powerful symbol. 3U is trying to show us a future where the absolute power of kings and queens is completely shattered, lying in ruins.
This brings us to a very important word, absolutist. What does it mean? An absolutist government is one where the ruler has total, unlimited power. There are no rules or laws to stop them. It was often a very repressive system. And this was the system that Soriot and others were dreaming of destroying.
Okay, now look at that long line, that train of people marching forward. They are not just a crowd. If you look closely, Soriot has painted them as distinct groups. Each group has its own flag, its own special costume. These groups represent the different nations of the world. At that time, this was a revolutionary idea, to imagine people belonging not to a king, but to a nation.
And where is this long line of people going? They are all marching past a female figure, the Statue of Liberty. And in her hands, she holds 2 very important things. In one hand, she has the torch of enlightenment, a symbol of reason and knowledge. And in the other, she holds the Charter of the Rights of Man, a document declaring that all people have rights, not just the rulers. Now look up at the sky. You can see Christ, saints, and angels looking down on this whole scene. Soriot used these religious figures to symbolize something new. He wanted to show the idea of fraternity, a feeling of brotherhood and unity among all the nations of the world.
A vision like this, a dream of a perfect world, was called utopian. A utopian vision is one of a society that is so ideal, so perfect, that it's probably impossible to actually create. And you have to understand, for people in 1848 living under powerful kings, this dream of free, equal nations, it was a beautiful but almost unimaginable idea.
But Soriot's dream was more than just a beautiful painting. It was a picture of a new political idea that was becoming very popular in Europe, the idea of the nation-state. So what is a nation-state, and how is it different from the old empires? Let's find out.
The difference is huge. In the old dynastic empires, you had one ruler, a monarch, who ruled over many different kinds of people who were his subjects. They had nothing much in common. But in a nation-state, the power belongs to the citizens, and these citizens share a common identity, a common language, culture, or history, and they live together in a clearly defined territory.
So the big goal for many people became to create these nation states. But this feeling of common identity, this oneness, it didn't just appear magically. It had to be built. It was forged through common struggles, through shared history, and by remembering common heroes and stories.
But this brings up a bigger question. What exactly is a nation? Is it just people speaking the same language or living in the same area? A famous French philosopher named Ernst Renan said no, it's something much, much deeper than that.
Renan gave a famous lecture where he asked this very question, what is a nation? And he argued against the simple definitions. He said a nation is not formed simply because people share a common language or belong to the same race or follow the same religion. For him, a nation was a spiritual thing. It had a soul.
Let me read to you what he said. A nation is the culmination of a long past of endeavors, sacrifice, and devotion. What he's saying is that a nation is built on a shared memory. The memories of a heroic past, of great leaders, of sacrifices made together. This is the foundation, the social capital on which the idea of a nation rests. So, to put Renan's idea simply, a nation has two parts. First, a shared past, full of common glories and achievements. And second, a shared will in the present, a desire to live together and to achieve more great things together. It's a bit like your classroom, right? You all share memories of past years, and in the present, you have a common will to do well in your exams together.
And this led Renan to his most powerful idea. He said, the existence of a nation is a daily plebiscite. Now, a plebiscite is a direct vote by the people. So, what Renan is saying is that a nation is not a prison that you are forced to be in. Every single day, the citizens make a choice, they cast a vote, to continue living together as one people. It is an ongoing agreement.
So let's step back for a moment. We've seen these new ideas starting to spread across Europe. Ideas of liberty, of people having a shared identity, and of this new thing called the nation state. These ideas were the foundation for a huge change that was about to come.
So let's quickly recap what we've learned. It all started with an artist's dream, Soryu's vision of free nations. This dream then turned into a political goal, the idea of creating nation states. And finally, thinkers like Renan gave this idea its soul, explaining that a nation is really about a shared past and a shared will for the future.
And please remember, these are not just ideas for books or for debates. These ideas became a powerful force, like a great wave that would sweep across Europe. They would inspire people to fight revolutions, to go to war, and to completely change the map of the continent, creating the countries we know today.
And that leads us to the big question for the rest of this chapter. How did this dream of nations actually happen? How did this powerful idea of a shared identity lead to the creation of countries like Germany and Italy? We will explore that incredible story in our next session.